Welcome to Zoe Stories. She changed my life forever. I never believed one moment, one small crack in routine, could flip a whole life upside down. But that was before she came into my life, before Isabella, before The Secret, before the night everything changed forever. My name is Arav Malik, 24, accountant by profession, invisible by nature. The kind of guy who blends into hallways, slips through office doors unnoticed, always sitting 2 chairs away from attention. People thought I liked it that way. I let them believe it. But inside, I was someone entirely different.
Hidden, buried,
waiting. And this story, my story, begins on a day that felt painfully normal.
Cold morning.
Overdue emails. The quiet hum of office computers. My life was predictable, simple, safe. Too safe. Safe enough to suffocate someone who secretly wished he could be someone else, even if just for a minute. Because under that clean white shirt and dull gray trousers, I carried something no one knew about. Something no one was ever supposed to know. A secret that started when I was 15. A secret stitched in silk, perfume, and trembling desire. I wasn't a cross-dresser in the way people imagine. Not loud. Not bold. Not rebellious. For me, it wasn't about shock. It was about escape. About being someone softer, freer, someone who wasn't trapped in expectations I never chose. Only one person had a clue. Only one person saw something in me I didn't dare see in myself. Isabella. My girlfriend for 2 years. A storm wrapped in elegance. Smart, confident, beautiful. Too beautiful for someone like me. She had this strange way of looking directly into my fears and talking through them, like she could see the truth behind my practiced smile. But she didn't know everything. Not yet. Not the part of me I kept locked behind layers of fear. Fear of judgment, fear of disgust, fear of losing her. Still, she sensed it. She always sensed more than she should. I lived in a small rented portion, 1 bedroom, 1 living room, everything neat, organized, predictable. A place where secrets could survive, where I could hide the parts of me I didn't dare show the world. Isabella had her own apartment across town. She visited twice a week, never unannounced, always after calling. Meaning, on most days, I had hours of complete silence. Hours where the walls wouldn't judge. Hours where the mirror became the only witness to the person I didn't allow myself to be. And today was supposed to be one of those days. Growing up in a strict household, where the word different was treated like a curse, I learned early to suffocate the parts of me that didn't fit. My father believed men should be stone. My mother believed men shouldn't even cry.
And I
believed both of them, until the day I touched my cousin's silk scarf and felt something electric. Something real. It was the first time I'd ever felt like me. But it became my first fear too. Every step after that, every stolen moment, every hidden cloth, every trembling heartbeat, grew into a double life I never thought would follow me into adulthood. By the time I met Isabella, I had built walls around myself, so high that even I forgot what stood behind them. But Isabella, she looked at me like she could see the cracks. She wasn't like anyone I'd ever known. Where I was quiet, she was fire. Where I hesitated, she pushed. Where I doubted, she demanded truth.
But she loved me.
Or, at least she loved the version of me she saw. Sometimes, though, she would say things like, "Arav, I feel like you're hiding something. There's a softness in you, why do you fight it? You're beautiful in ways you don't even understand." Every time she said something like that, my heart thudded with both fear and hope. What if she knew? What if she guessed? What if she saw the clothes I hid in the back of my closet, behind old blankets and faded boxes? But she never pushed hard enough. And I never dared let her in. Not until the day she casually said, "I might come by your place today. Maybe after lunch." And just like that, my safe day, my quiet day, my secret day was shattered. I tried to play it cool on the phone. "Oh, sure, yeah, come anytime," I said with a voice that cracked like cheap plastic. She laughed softly. "Relax. It's not like I'm checking your closet." I froze. Did she know? Was it a joke? Was it suspicion? Unless, she added teasingly, you're hiding something fun from me. My stomach tightened. My palms went cold. She had no idea how close she was to the truth. After the call ended, I stood in the center of my living room, surrounded by silence heavy enough to crush my chest. Isabella here? Today? With no warning? All the hidden pieces of me. The delicate fabrics, the makeup bag tucked behind old files, the heels under the bed, felt like ticking bombs waiting to explode. And yet, a part of me whispered, wear them.
Just for a little while.
Just for yourself. Just today before she arrives. A dangerous thought. A thrilling thought. A thought I should have ignored. But I didn't. My heartbeat hammered in my ears as I opened the hidden box inside my wardrobe. The scent of soft perfume escaped. My fingers brushed against a satin dress I rarely dared to wear. My breath caught, half fear, half longing. The room felt electric. Forbidden.
Alive.
I knew I shouldn't. I knew Isabella could show up anytime. I knew this was the kind of risk that could destroy everything. And still, I lifted the dress out of the box. My life, my identity, my relationship, everything I knew, was about to change forever. The moment I held the dress in my hands, the air seemed to shift. The familiar scent of perfume and silk mixed with adrenaline, making my heart race. It wasn't just a piece of fabric, it was a portal. A doorway to someone I had longed to be, but never dared to fully embrace. My reflection in the mirror stared back, wide-eyed and anxious, yet curious, as if my own body was questioning me. Are you really going to do this? I took a deep breath, reminding myself I had a few hours before Isabella might show up. Those hours were mine, precious, fleeting, intoxicating. They were my sanctuary. I set the dress on the bed, its smooth satin reflecting the soft afternoon light streaming through the blinds. My fingers lingered on it, tracing the contours, feeling its softness. It was almost alive, almost like it knew it would transform me. I slid the makeup bag from the back of the drawer, shaking slightly. I had hidden it so well that even I occasionally forgot it existed. Inside were brushes, powders, lipsticks, tools that had allowed me to become someone else. Someone beautiful, someone daring. And yet, each time I used them, there was a thrill, almost criminal in its excitement. I started slowly, as if testing the waters. A dab of foundation, a touch of eyeliner. The mirror reflected a familiar stranger, softened features, eyes more defined, lips slightly fuller. My pulse quickened with every brushstroke. The transformation wasn't just physical. It was emotional, visceral, a rush of forbidden freedom that tingled through my veins. I felt exposed, vulnerable, yet empowered. Then came the hardest part, the dress. I slipped into it carefully, hesitating as the satin brushed against my skin. Every inch I covered with it felt like shedding my old identity, layer by layer. My reflection blurred between who I was and who I wanted to be. The heels came last, clicking against the floor with each careful step. I stumbled slightly, not from clumsiness, but from the intensity of the moment. I was teetering on the edge, not just physically, but emotionally. As I looked in the mirror, I saw her. Or rather, me transformed. Arav was gone, replaced by someone daring, delicate, and radiant. I almost laughed, almost cried. But mostly, I just stared, soaking in the thrill and fear. My secret life had always been solitary, a private escape. Yet standing there, fully transformed, I felt a pulse of recklessness. A thought whispered, what if she sees? What if she finds out? Suddenly, the sound of a car pulling into the driveway made my stomach flip. My eyes darted to the window, Isabella. She was early. My sanctuary, my hours of solitude, had evaporated in a single second. Panic surged and I froze. The heels felt heavier than ever, the dress tighter. Every part of me screamed to run, to hide, to revert. But I couldn't. The mirror reflected my new self, bold, beautiful, defiant. I couldn't turn back now. I heard the soft click of the apartment door opening. Isabella's voice drifted down the hall, casual, unaware. Hey, are you here? My heart thumped violently. The thrill and terror collided, making every nerve in my body tingle. For a moment, I considered retreating, changing back into my ordinary clothes. But a tiny, rebellious part of me whispered, "No. Let her see this version of you. Let her see everything." The next few minutes felt like an eternity. I paced the small living room, adjusting the dress, fumbling with the heels, my reflection everywhere, on the glass coffee table, in the mirror by the entrance. Each glance reminded me of the risk I was taking. Every sound outside, the scrape of a chair, the faint shuffle of her shoes, heightened my senses. I was exposed, yet exhilarated. Then a knock at the door. Not a casual one. Sharp. Insistent. My pulse raced. Isabella? Or someone else? I held my breath, debating my next move. Should I answer? Should I hide? Should I remain? The room seemed smaller, the air heavier, every shadow a threat, every sound a revelation. And in that suspended moment, I realized this wasn't just play anymore. This wasn't just secret indulgence. It was a turning point. Every choice from this second forward would define the boundary between my hidden self and the world outside. Between Arav, the man everyone thought they knew, and the me that was emerging in satin and heels. I froze by the door, my fingers trembling as the knock echoed again. Each pulse in my ears matched the quick, uneven beat of my heart. I could hear her voice faintly now, teasing, casual. "Arav? You here? I know you're avoiding me." Avoiding her? No, I thought, my mind racing. I wasn't avoiding her. I was hiding. Hiding the version of me she might never understand. I took a step back, heels clicking softly against the polished floor. The dress clung to my frame, smooth and foreign, yet intimately familiar. I touched the fabric instinctively, letting the satin soothe my panic. It was a reminder that, despite everything, I was alive in a way I never had been before. Alive in my secret, my truth.
But the risk gnawed at me.
She could be inside, at any moment. I could be caught, exposed, my secret splintering into pieces I might never recover. My mind raced. Should I hide the heels? The makeup? Should I slip back into my mundane clothes and pretend this never happened?
No.
A stubborn, dangerous thrill whispered through me. Stay. Let her see. I moved to the window, peeking through the blinds. Isabella was outside, talking on her phone, unaware of what awaited her inside. Relief mixed with a strange surge of courage. The hours of secret indulgence, the silky dresses, the delicate makeup, the exhilarating feel of being someone else, had taught me that the thrill was worth the fear. I let myself breathe, just for a moment, and then I heard a sound that made my stomach twist, the key turning in the lock. She was coming in. I backed into the bedroom, trying to remain calm, trying to act natural. Every instinct screamed at me to run, to hide, to erase the evidence of the person I had become. But I couldn't. The reflection in the mirror, a soft, beautiful, defiant face, held me in place. This is who I am. This is me, even if only for today. Isabella stepped inside, her eyes scanning the apartment casually. Her gaze lingered on the living room, then the bedroom doorway, and finally settled on me. I held my breath, praying she didn't notice the heels, the satin dress, the subtle curve of my transformed self. "Hey," she said softly, smiling. "You're home early. I wasn't expecting you." Her voice trembled slightly, curious but unknowing. That tiny flicker of suspicion set my nerves on fire. My palms sweated, my pulse surged. I wanted to tell her. I wanted to hide. I wanted both things at once. Instead, I did something I hadn't dared in years. I smiled. A small, nervous, trembling smile. It was enough to make her tilt her head, frown slightly, then laugh. "You look different today," she said.
Different.
That word struck like a blade. My heart thudded. Did she mean me? Or was it just a fleeting comment about my posture, my expression, the way I moved? My mind raced. Don't panic. Don't move too much. Don't let her see. I crossed the room slowly, heels clicking, the dress flowing around me. Each step was a performance, a gamble. The closer I got to her, the more I realized how dangerous this thrill was. Yet I also felt alive. More alive than I had in years. Isabella watched me, curiosity dancing in her eyes. "Are you trying something new?" she asked softly, a teasing edge to her voice. I paused, unsure how to answer. Do I lie? Do I admit the truth? Do I pretend this is normal? The silence stretched, heavy, electric. Every second felt like an eternity, every breath a risk. Finally, I murmured, "Just experimenting." Her eyes widened slightly, then narrowed, thoughtful. "Experimenting, huh? I like that word." She smiled. "Maybe you can show me sometime?" The words should have sent me into panic. Instead, they sent a rush of heat and exhilaration through me. My heart pounded. My secret, my desire, my thrill, all poised on the edge of discovery. She could see me any second, and yet she didn't. She teased me unknowingly, and I felt the full weight of the thrill. I moved toward the mirror again, adjusting the dress, brushing a stray lock of hair from my face. I was both terrified and elated. Each movement felt symbolic, a statement. I exist. I am here. I am real. The afternoon sun cast patterns across the floor, highlighting the contrast between my two selves, the hidden, timid man I was and the bold, delicate persona I had become. The reflection shimmered, teasing, almost daring me to step further into this world. And then, the sound of the front door closing startled me. She was moving around, stepping out again? Or maybe someone else. My imagination ran wild. Each noise, each echo, each creak became a potential exposure. My body tensed, every muscle alert, every breath shallow. It was exhilarating, dangerous, addictive. I realized that this secret indulgence, this thrill of transformation, this constant dance with discovery, was more than just a hobby. It was a craving and need. Every brushstroke, every step in heels, every glance in the mirror fed something inside me that I'd kept dormant for years. And as Isabella's voice floated faintly through the apartment again, teasing me unknowingly, I understood one thing clearly. Nothing would ever feel the same again. I stood frozen for a moment, the heels pinching slightly, the dress snug against my chest, the brush in my trembling hand. My reflection stared back, unflinching, beautiful, but my mind was a storm. Every sound in the apartment felt amplified. The faint hum of the refrigerator, the creak of the floorboards, the distant laughter from outside. Each noise carried the thread of discovery. Each shadow seemed to whisper, "She's coming closer." I told myself I was careful, cautious. But a part of me, the reckless, desperate part, thrived on this tension. The more real the risk, the more alive I felt. My fingers lingered on the edge of the satin dress, smoothing it over my hips, tracing the curve of the skirt. I felt exposed, yet invisible at the same time. Invisible, except for the mirror, which had become my only confidant, my only witness to this audacious, secret version of myself. I moved to the vanity and picked up the lipstick, my hands slightly trembling. I had chosen a soft rose shade, delicate and understated. With each stroke, I felt a metamorphosis, not just the physical, but the emotional. The lips that curved in the mirror were not just mine. They were someone entirely new. Someone bold, vulnerable, alive. I paused to look, and for a brief second, I forgot everything outside this room. Forgetting the clock, the risk, Isabella, the world. It was just me, and this reflection that I had kept hidden for years. But then a sound jolted me out of my reverie. The elevator downstairs pinged. Someone was entering the building. My pulse skyrocketed. The sanctuary I had created, the hours of solitude, was evaporating, replaced by reality. Every instinct screamed at me to hide, to throw off the dress, erase the makeup, revert. But I couldn't. The thrill had me pinned. The reflection in the mirror seemed to mock me, daring me to remain, daring me to embrace the danger. I remembered Isabella's teasing words earlier. "Maybe you can show me sometime?" They echoed in my mind, intertwining with the sudden anxiety. I didn't know if she had meant now, or if it was some casual fantasy. But the thought alone made my heart race, faster than it had all afternoon. Every fiber of my being vibrated with anticipation and terror. I stepped closer to the mirror, adjusting my hair, smoothing a wrinkle in the dress, practicing a casual smile that could fool anyone. But the reflection betrayed me. The tension, the thrill, the almost unbearable anxiety. It all shone through my eyes. And in that moment, I realized something dangerous. Isabella might sense it, might notice it, might see me before I even spoke. I heard the faint sound of footsteps approaching the hallway. Quick, deliberate, unassuming, but to me, magnified 100-fold. My breath caught. I turned away from the mirror, holding my hands tightly at my sides, my body trembling slightly. The dress felt heavier with every step that drew closer. I wanted to laugh, to cry, to scream, but I stayed silent, pinned by fear and exhilaration. The key in the lock turned again. My stomach dropped. She was back. Or maybe it was someone else. Every scenario played out in my mind, each worse than the last. What if she sees me? What if she reacts badly? What if she thinks I'm insane? But then, a tiny spark of defiance rose. And what if she doesn't? What if she understands? I remembered the small, secret rituals that had always comforted me. A brush of hair, a dab of scent, the careful tilt of the head, the subtle way I had learned to walk in heels. Each movement had a purpose, a history, a story. These weren't just clothes or makeup. They were symbols of courage, freedom, identity, and defiance. And as terrifying as it was, I clung to them like lifelines. Then came a sound that made my blood freeze, a soft cough from the hallway. She was outside my door. I could hear her breath, hear the faint creak of her shoes on the floor. My heart thundered in my chest. Every instinct screamed to hide, but I was rooted to the spot. The reflection in the mirror whispered, "This is who you are.
Stand. Be seen."
I took a shaky step toward the door, heels clicking softly. My mind raced with every possible outcome. If she opened the door now, if she saw me like this, if everything I had hidden for years was revealed in one instant. And then the knock came. Soft, deliberate. She called my name. Arav. The thrill and terror collided in a violent storm inside me. My reflection in the mirror showed not just fear or beauty, but a mixture of both, a dangerous cocktail that made my pulse spike and my stomach twist. This was the moment I had longed for and dreaded all at once. I moved back slightly, adjusting the dress, straightening my posture, forcing calm into my trembling body. If I was discovered, I needed to be ready. But if I wasn't, if I could survive this, then the thrill would be unforgettable. As the seconds stretched, I realized something crucial. This wasn't just about clothes, makeup, or transformation. It was about trust, exposure, and the delicate balance between fear and desire. And in that tense, electric moment, I knew nothing would ever be the same again. I held my breath, frozen mid-step, as the hallway remained silent. The faint ticking of the clock seemed impossibly loud, each second stretching like an eternity. My heels clicked softly as I shifted my weight, the satin dress brushing against my thighs. Every fiber of me was alive, every nerve tingling with a mix of excitement and dread. Then, an unexpected sound, a faint buzz from my phone on the bedside table, made my stomach drop. A text. I didn't need to look. I knew who it was. Isabella. My hands shook as I grabbed the phone, hoping it was just a casual message, not a warning that she would appear sooner than expected. "Hey, forgot to tell you. My friend might drop by."
Just FYI.
The words felt like a punch to the gut. Her friend?
Now?
My carefully calculated hours of secrecy had evaporated in an instant. My heart thudded painfully. What if they arrived while I was like this? What if she walked in, and I couldn't retreat fast enough? My reflection in the mirror seemed to smirk at me, as if mocking my panic. I glanced around the room, searching for a hiding place. But there was none. Every corner, every nook, every shadow offered only exposure. The apartment felt suddenly smaller, oppressive and dangerous. My hands trembled as I adjusted the hem of the dress, tugging slightly to make it fall naturally. I had to look calm, composed, even if inside I was screaming. A knock on the door. Soft, hesitant. Not the usual confident voice of Isabella, but her friend, likely. My stomach twisted. My pulse raced. I could feel the sweat prickling my skin, the brush of satin against my fingers making me hyper-aware of every sensation. The world seemed to narrow to a single point. That door. I considered my options. Run? Hide?
Pretend?
But even as I weighed them, a dangerous thrill coursed through me. The risk, the potential of being seen, was intoxicating. It made my body hum, made my pulse race, made me feel alive. I realized in that moment that this wasn't just a secret indulgence anymore. It had become a test of courage, of identity, of control. My mind flashed to Isabella's teasing words earlier. Maybe you can show me sometime? Could this be the moment? The test I hadn't expected? I adjusted my posture in the mirror again, letting the reflection guide me. The face looking back at me was confident, delicate, daring. It was ready. It was defiant. And maybe, just maybe, it could survive exposure. Another knock. Closer this time. The doorknob rattled slightly. My pulse hammered in my ears. I had to think fast. I moved toward the bed, fingers brushing the satin dress, heart racing. Should I hide under the sheets? Would it even work? The heels made moving quickly awkward, dangerous. Every step echoed in the apartment. I heard laughter now, a low, casual sound from the hallway. Isabella's friend? The sound sent a jolt through me, and I realized I was trapped. There was no hiding, no turning back. The dress, the heels, the makeup, every piece of me that I had carefully crafted to explore my secret life, was now a risk, a beacon. But then, a small thought flickered. And if they see?
What then?
I had spent years perfecting this hidden world, but it had always been mine alone. Never anyone else's. And now, it was about to collide with reality in ways I couldn't predict. I could feel the thrill of exposure, the dangerous cocktail of fear and excitement coursing through me. My reflections seemed to whisper, "You wanted this. You chose this. Now live it." I took a shaky breath and straightened my back. I was going to face it. Whoever came through that door was going to see me, all of me, and I had to own it. The satin clung to my skin. The heels pinched slightly. The makeup shimmered under the afternoon light. I was exposed, vulnerable, powerful. The doorknob turned slowly. A shadow appeared in the doorway. My heart leapt, and I braced myself. Every muscle in my body tensed. And then, Isabella's voice. Calm, curious, teasing. "You're ready?" she asked softly, her eyes locking onto mine. I realized in that suspended moment that nothing would ever feel the same again. The shadow at the doorway lingered, hesitant, almost teasing, as if the world itself had slowed. I stood frozen, every nerve screaming in anticipation. The heels pinched my feet. The dress clung too perfectly, and my reflection in the mirror seemed to pulse with life, daring me to meet the challenge. Every second felt impossibly stretched, every breath a gamble. Isabella's eyes flickered across me, curious, playful. But there was something deeper there too. A subtle recognition, a hint that she sensed the shift in me, the hidden thrill I had tried so desperately to contain. My pulse raced. My secret, the part of me I had buried for so long, was trembling on the edge of revelation. "Are you experimenting again?" she asked, a small smile playing on her lips. Her voice was calm, almost casual, but her gaze pierced right through me. The words hit harder than any accusation. She wasn't shouting, she wasn't scolding, but the simple curiosity in her tone was more powerful than any confrontation. I swallowed hard, the taste of adrenaline sharp in my throat. My mind raced. Do I lie? Do I tell her the truth? Do I stay silent and risk suspicion? Each choice felt perilous. Every instinct urged caution, yet another, more dangerous one whispered, "Reveal yourself. Let her see everything." I took a tentative step forward, careful to keep my balance on the unforgiving heels. The dress swayed around me, smooth and sensual, catching the afternoon light streaming through the blinds. My reflection shimmered with confidence I didn't feel, yet needed. I breathed slowly, forcing calm into the trembling chaos inside. Then, a sudden noise, a faint giggle from the hallway, made my heart leap. Her friend had arrived. My pulse thundered, each beat like a drum signaling danger. Every scenario I had feared seemed to converge in that moment. Exposure, judgment, humiliation, exhilaration. The apartment, once my sanctuary, now felt like a stage, and I was the main act in a performance I hadn't rehearsed. I adjusted the makeup, smoothing the lipstick on my lips, brushing a loose strand of hair back into place. Every tiny gesture mattered. Every detail could betray me. Yet, with every careful movement, I felt a growing sense of power, a reckless confidence that came from standing on the edge of fear. Isabella's eyes never left me. "You're different," she said softly. Not judging, not mocking, just observing. The words pierced my chest. My heart fluttered wildly. Does she know?
Can she see?
Or is it just instinct? I tried to steady myself, to anchor my racing mind. I crossed the room slowly, each step a careful negotiation with the heels, the dress, and the fluttering panic inside me. The reflection in the mirror followed, flawless, daring, teasing me with the duality of who I was and who I longed to be. Then a small accidental slip. The dress shifted slightly, brushing against the edge of the dresser. My heart skipped. Not now. Not like this. I bent quickly to adjust it, heels precarious, balance wavering. Every movement was amplified, every sound a potential revelation. I could feel the eyes on me, not just hers, but the imagined presence of her friend, waiting just outside. The tension coiled tighter inside me. I had lived in this dual world for years, balancing between secrecy and indulgence, between fear and desire. But now, everything converged. The early arrival, the unannounced friend, the teasing curiosity in Isabella's gaze. Every element threatened to unravel me, yet also pushed me higher, deeper, into the thrill I could no longer resist. I looked once more at the mirror. The reflection that stared back was beautiful, delicate, vulnerable, daring. It was a version of me I had longed to embrace, a persona that had existed only in stolen hours and hidden corners. And now, with Isabella inches away, curiosity flickering in her eyes, and the unknown presence outside, I realized there was no turning back. I took a deep breath, feeling the silk of the dress against my skin, the subtle weight of the heels grounding me, the brush of makeup giving my face an unfamiliar, yet intoxicating confidence. I was exposed, vulnerable, alive, and it was intoxicating. The apartment seemed to hold its breath with me. Time slowed. Every sound, every shadow, every subtle movement became a part of the story unfolding in that small, tense space. And in that suspended, electric moment, I understood fully. This was the turning point. Every choice from here on would define the boundary between the secret I had cherished and the world I could no longer ignore. And just as my pulse thundered in anticipation, I heard Isabella's soft voice again, tinged with curiosity and amusement. "You know, I think I like this side of you." The words pierced me. Fear, excitement, desire. They collided in a chaotic storm inside me. I smiled, trembling slightly, realizing that nothing would ever be the same again. The door creaked open, slow and deliberate, and I felt my entire body seize. Isabella stepped inside, her eyes scanning the room, but not with judgment. Not yet. Curiosity shimmered in her gaze, a subtle, almost teasing intensity. My pulse hammered against my ribs, each beat louder than the last. My heels pinched, my dress clung tighter, and every nerve in me screamed, "You are exposed. Every secret is visible now." I tried to move casually, to appear normal, but my legs trembled. The reflection in the mirror, so familiar, so daring, stared back with a confident defiance that I did not feel. My hands clutched the edge of the dresser, my grip tight, knuckles white. I could feel the adrenaline surging, a mixture of fear and excitement that made my heart race faster than it had in years. She paused mid-step, tilting her head slightly. "You're different," she said softly, almost reverently. My stomach nodded. The words could mean anything: approval, curiosity, shock. My mind spun with possibilities, each more terrifying and exhilarating than the last. I wanted to explain, to confess, to hide, but my body refused to obey. Then, a sound, a faint knock from the hallway. Her friend. My pulse leapt. The timing was impossible. I was exposed in every sense: dress, heels, makeup, and every trembling inch of my body radiating vulnerability. I could feel the silk against my skin, delicate and accusatory, as if reminding me how visible I was. Isabella's eyes flicked toward the hallway. "Someone's here," she said casually, but there was a sparkle in her voice, a curiosity that made my heart hammer even more violently. I swallowed hard, trying to steady my trembling lips. Each breath felt shallow, electric. I moved instinctively toward the dresser, pretending to straighten it, but the movement only drew more attention. My reflection in the mirror seemed alive now, almost daring me, whispering, "Show yourself. Stand tall. Own this moment." The knock came again, more insistent this time. I could hear the soft shuffle of shoes outside, the faint jingling of keys. Every second stretched, every heartbeat felt like an eternity. My hands shook as I brushed a loose strand of hair from my face, every gesture amplified by the tension in the room. Isabella stepped closer. "You're beautiful," she murmured, almost under her breath. My chest tightened. Those words, soft as they were, cut deeper than any accusation or judgment ever could. My mind spun. Was this approval? Teasing? Or something else entirely? I didn't dare ask. And then it happened. A sudden, loud knock, sharp and commanding, rattled the doorframe. Isabella's friend had arrived. My stomach dropped. Every instinct screamed, hide, run, revert. But the heels made movement precarious, the dress limited my agility, and the makeup made retreat impossible. I was trapped. I looked into the mirror one last time before facing the inevitable. The reflection staring back was a stranger and a friend, bold, daring, alive, and terrified all at once. I took a deep, steadying breath. This was it. There was no turning back. Isabella's voice was calm, soft, teasing, yet tinged with tension. "Do you want me to open it?" I nodded slightly, barely audible. The adrenaline coursing through me was intoxicating, almost unbearable. The doorknob rattled. The hinges groaned. And in that suspended, electric moment, I realized something. The secret I had protected for so long, the thrill I had cherished, the dual life I had lived, was about to collide with reality. The door swung open. A shadow filled the hallway, the light behind it creating an almost theatrical silhouette. My body froze, every muscle taut, every heartbeat deafening. The reflection in the mirror, my reflection, shone with a defiant confidence I had never felt in the real world. And then the first words came. Soft, curious, teasing.
Wow.
I didn't expect this. My pulse leapt. The secret was no longer mine alone. The thrill, the fear, the exhilaration, it was all shared now, visible, exposed. And as my heels clicked against the floor, the silk of the dress whispering against my skin, I realized nothing, absolutely nothing, would ever be the same again. The shadow in the doorway took a step forward, and my heart leapt into my throat. Every nerve in my body screamed danger, yet a forbidden thrill coursed through me. Isabella's friend was here, and now there was no hiding, no pretending. My reflection in the mirror stared back, daring me to remain upright, to face this exposure with courage I wasn't sure I had. "Hey, I didn't know you were home," the voice said. Light, casual, but it carried an undercurrent of curiosity that set my pulse racing. My hands shook slightly, brushing the hem of the dress, adjusting the satin to fall naturally over my hips. Every gesture mattered. Every motion was a test. Isabella stepped closer to me, her eyes locking onto mine with a mixture of amusement and curiosity. She seemed almost to enjoy my panic, the way my body trembled in heels, the subtle flush across my cheeks. And that only heightened my anxiety. I wanted to speak, to explain, to confess, but the words stuck in my throat. Fear and exhilaration tangled together, leaving me paralyzed yet electrified. The reflection in the mirror was confident, poised, teasing, a stark contrast to the whirlwind of panic I felt inside. Then came the crunch of footsteps on the carpet. Her friend moved into the room, laughter in her voice, light and casual, completely unaware of the storm she had walked into. My chest tightened. Every inch of me screamed exposure. Every heartbeat throbbed in my ears. Isabella's friend's eyes flicked toward me, then swept over the reflection in the mirror. "Oh, wow," she said softly, almost in awe. My breath caught. I could feel the heat rising in my cheeks, the silk of the dress clinging uncomfortably, the heels pinching my feet. My secret, the careful, hidden world I had built over years, was unraveling in front of two people at once. Isabella smiled, a teasing curl of her lips. "I told you, maybe you should show me some time," she said, voice light but pointed. The words struck like lightning. My mind raced.
Was this a test?
A tease? Approval? Or something more dangerous entirely? I forced myself to stand taller, heels digging into the floor, body tense yet poised. The reflection in the mirror shimmered with defiance. "This is your moment," it seemed to whisper. "Own it." Her friend stepped closer, curious eyes scanning my transformation. "You look amazing," she said, clearly impressed. My pulse skyrocketed. These were not accusations, not judgment, but admiration, unexpected, intoxicating, terrifying. I was exposed, yet not condemned, vulnerable, yet validated. I moved slightly, adjusting the dress again, feeling the silk slide over my skin. Every step in heels was precarious, but deliberate. Every movement was a silent declaration. I am here. This is me. And then the unthinkable happened. A small misstep. The heel caught slightly on the edge of the rug. I stumbled, almost tipping forward. My heart stopped. The dress shifted precariously, and my reflection in the mirror seemed to gasp with me. Panic surged, adrenaline blurring the line between fear and exhilaration. Isabella reached out, steadying me with a gentle hand. "Careful," she said softly, eyes twinkling with amusement. Relief and terror collided inside me. I was grateful, yet aware that the exposure was total. I could not hide anything now, not from her, not from anyone. Her friend laughed softly, light and teasing. "You're so graceful," she said, oblivious to the storm raging in my mind. Graceful? I had felt anything but graceful in that moment, yet the words sent an intoxicating rush through me. The thrill of being seen, truly seen, was overwhelming. I steadied myself, took a deep breath, and allowed a small, confident smile to appear on my lips. The reflection in the mirror echoed it perfectly, confident, poised, radiant. And in that moment, I realized something profound. The fear, the panic, the exposure, it was all worth it. Every heartbeat, every trembling step, every inch of vulnerability had led me here. And yet, the danger wasn't over. Every knock, every glance, every subtle gesture reminded me that my secret life, the thrill, the indulgence, the identity I had carefully nurtured, was now entwined with reality. I was teetering on a razor's edge, balancing desire and fear, exposure and secrecy, exhilaration and terror. The room seemed to contract, every sound amplified, every shadow a potential threat. Yet I stood firm, heart hammering, heels steady, dress smooth, makeup flawless. The reflection in the mirror was not just me. It was the culmination of every stolen hour, every private moment, every secret indulgence. And now it faced the world. "Do you want to sit?" Isabella asked softly, breaking the tension with casual grace. Her words were gentle, inviting, yet heavy with unspoken possibilities. I nodded slightly, each movement careful, deliberate, teasing the boundaries of control and exposure. As I lowered myself onto the chair, adjusting the dress to cover my legs gracefully, I felt the full weight of the moment. Vulnerable, exposed, and alive in ways I had never known. The thrill, the panic, the exhilaration, it was intoxicating. I had crossed a line I could never uncross, stepping fully into a world where fear and desire collided, where identity and secrecy intertwined. And in that suspended, electric moment, I realized nothing would ever be the same again. The room had shifted from tense anticipation to a charged battlefield of emotions. Isabella and her friend watched me, their curiosity and amusement palpable. I felt exposed, my heart hammering, my reflection in the mirror teasing me with a confidence I didn't fully feel. The heels pinched sharply at my toes, the satin dress clung tightly to my chest and hips, and every tiny movement sent shivers of both terror and exhilaration through me. And then disaster. A soft, accidental thump echoed from the floor as I shifted my weight. The chair moved slightly, my heel snagged on the leg, and suddenly the chair tipped backward. Time seemed to slow. My arms flailed for balance, my heart leapt into my throat, and the dress rode dangerously high as I stumbled. "Oh my God!" Isabella gasped, rushing forward. Her hand grabbed my elbow, steadying me just in time. My reflection in the mirror wavered, half triumph, half panic. My body trembled from the adrenaline, and my cheeks burned from embarrassment and exhilaration combined. Her friend laughed softly, covering her mouth, eyes wide. "You're really committed, huh?" she said, voice playful but tinged with awe. I could feel my pulse pounding, each beat a drum of exposure and thrill. The room seemed impossibly small, every detail magnified, the reflection in the mirror, the pinch of the heels, the cling of the dress, the warmth of their eyes on me. I steadied myself, heart hammering, and adjusted the dress hastily, smoothing it over my hips, trying to reclaim some dignity. The mirror reflected a poised, daring version of me that I longed to embody fully. Yet inside, I was a hurricane of fear and exhilaration, teetering on the edge of losing control. Then, another sound, a faint ring from the phone on the table. I froze. Isabella's friend glanced toward it. "Is that yours?" she asked casually. My mind raced. The ringtone was loud, unmistakable, and it could mean exposure beyond this room. Messages, notifications, anyone who might see. My pulse spiked. I moved quickly to silence it, fumbling slightly in the heels, the dress tightening around my arms as I bent to reach the phone. Every motion felt amplified, every sound a potential disaster. I could feel their eyes on me, curiosity and amusement, mixed with subtle anticipation. The reflection in the mirror shimmered, almost daring me, teasing. One misstep, everything changes. The phone silenced. Relief surged, but it was fleeting. The sense of vulnerability, of exposure, lingered. My reflection, poised and confident, mocked my panic. I took a deep breath, forcing calm into my trembling body, heels digging into the floor, fingers brushing the silk of the dress as if it could steady me. And then, unthinkable, a sudden knock, loud, insistent, echoed through the apartment. Isabella froze, her eyes flicking toward the door. My stomach plummeted. The friend outside must have been joined by someone else, or perhaps a neighbor, anyone. The timing was impossible, the exposure imminent. Panic surged. I realized, in that instant, that I had no escape. The heels made running impossible, the dress restricted rapid movement, the makeup would betray me under scrutiny. I was trapped, visible, vulnerable, exposed. Every heartbeat hammered in my chest like a war drum. Isabella's eyes met mine. There was a flicker. Fear, amusement, curiosity, and something else I couldn't place. "You okay?" she asked softly. Her voice was calm, teasing, but heavy with expectation. The room felt impossibly tense, every detail heightened, every sound amplified. I swallowed hard. "Yeah, I'm fine," I said shakily, trying to steady my voice, my body, my trembling heart. The reflection in the mirror held a defiance I couldn't quite feel, a boldness that teased me mercilessly. Another knock. Louder. More insistent. The hallway beyond the door seemed to close in, pressing against me, amplifying every sensation. The pinch of the heels, the tightness of the dress, the tremble of my hands. Panic and exhilaration mingled, creating a storm inside me that I had never experienced so vividly. And then it hit me. The truth of my transformation, the thrill, the risk, the exposure. Every stolen moment, every secret indulgence, every private fantasy had led to this precise moment of absolute vulnerability. I was fully seen, fully exposed, fully alive in ways I could never retreat from. I straightened in the mirror, adjusting the dress one final time, forcing a shaky smile onto my lips. The heels pinched sharply, but I planted my feet firmly, grounding myself in the silk, the reflection, the thrill. I realized that the fear, the panic, the exposure, this was the apex of my journey, the moment that defined every choice I had made in secret. And in that suspended, electric moment, I understood fully. The secret life I had cherished, the identity I had nurtured, the thrill I had hidden, all of it had collided with reality. There was no retreat. There was no undoing. There was only this: fear, exhilaration, exposure, and the dizzying, intoxicating power of being truly seen. The knock on the door came again, sharper, insistent, impossible to ignore. My heart thundered in my chest, each beat hammering against my ribs like a warning. I froze mid-step, the satin of the dress brushing against my thighs, heels precarious on the floor. Every sense screamed danger. Every nerve tingled with fear and excitement. Isabella's eyes met mine, a glint of mischief and curiosity sparkling in them. "Do you want me to answer it?" she asked softly, her voice calm, teasing, almost daring me to react. I shook my head, unable to form coherent words. My pulse raced, my stomach twisted, and the reflection in the mirror seemed alive, almost mocking, daring me to face what was coming. Her friend, oblivious to the storm, leaned casually against the wall, eyes curious, expression teasing. I could feel the tension coiling tighter inside me. Every movement mattered now. One wrong gesture, one slip of the dress, one misstep on the heels, and my secret, my carefully guarded identity, would be laid bare for all to see. I shifted slightly, trying to steady myself, heels clinking softly on the floor. The dress hugged my body in all the wrong and perfect ways, every curve exposed, every delicate movement amplified. My hands trembled as I adjusted the hem, brushing a loose strand of hair back behind my ear. The mirror reflected a poised, confident version of me, but inside, my heart was a storm of panic and exhilaration. The doorknob rattled violently. My pulse spiked. Isabella's friend turned toward the sound, curiosity finally breaking through her casual demeanor. I swallowed hard, trembling, my reflection mocking me with that impossible confidence I so desperately wanted to embody. Then came the sound that made my stomach plummet, a familiar voice from the hallway. Not Isabella's, not her friend's, but someone else. Someone I wasn't expecting. My mind raced. Who could it be? Was it a neighbor? A colleague? Or worse, someone who could expose everything? The door swung open abruptly. A figure filled the doorway, silhouetted by the light from the hallway. My heart stopped. Every instinct screamed panic. My heels pinched sharply, my legs threatened to buckle, and my body froze in place. The reflection in the mirror seemed to shimmer, daring me, taunting me. This is it. No turning back. And then the words came, soft but piercing. You're really doing this? The voice belonged to someone I knew well, a person whose opinion I had feared for years. Judgment, curiosity, disbelief, and fascination mixed in that single sentence. My cheeks burned, My stomach churned, and my pulse threatened to burst. The room felt impossibly small, every detail magnified. The silk of the dress, the pinch of the heels, the weight of the makeup, the intensity of their gaze. Isabella stepped closer, her hand brushing mine in a subtle gesture of reassurance. "They just want to understand," she said calmly. Her words barely penetrated the storm of panic inside me, but they offered a fragile lifeline. I nodded slightly, forcing a shaky breath, trying to steady my trembling body. The stranger stepped fully into the room, eyes wide with fascination and disbelief. I didn't know," they stammered, voice trailing off. Every syllable was a dagger, every glance a test. My reflection in the mirror shimmered with defiance, daring me to maintain control, to embrace this exposure fully. I took a slow, deliberate breath, heels digging into the floor, silk brushing my skin. I straightened my back, lifted my chin, and forced a small, confident smile. The reflection in the mirror mirrored it perfectly, poised, daring, radiant. And in that moment, I understood something profound. Exposure, fear, panic, exhilaration. They were all part of the same electrifying truth. "Yeah," I said finally, voice trembling but firm. "I'm doing this. And I'm me." The room went silent, the tension so thick it could almost be cut with a knife. Every heartbeat thundered in my ears. Isabella's friend blinked, caught between amusement and awe. The stranger's mouth hung open slightly, unable to form words. And in the mirror, I saw both myself and the reflection I had nurtured in secrecy for years, a perfect collision of fear, confidence, and vulnerability. Time seemed to stretch. Every second was a test, every glance a challenge, every movement a declaration. I had crossed the boundary between secrecy and exposure, between private indulgence and public revelation. And though the fear was overwhelming, so was the thrill. I realized fully that nothing would ever be the same again. The silk against my skin, the heels digging into my feet, the makeup shimmering under the light, the eyes watching me. It was intoxicating. Vulnerable, exposed, alive. And then Isabella's soft, teasing voice cut through the tension. "You know, I think this is just the beginning." My heart leapt, every muscle tense, every nerve alive. The thrill, the fear, the exhilaration, it was a storm inside me I could never escape. I was fully exposed, fully vulnerable, fully alive. The silence after my confession didn't feel like silence at all. It felt like thunder. Every heartbeat shook inside my chest. Every breath trembled like it was afraid to come out. Isabella stood beside me, her presence warm and steady, but everything else felt like a storm, wild, unpredictable, ready to tear everything apart. The person in the doorway, their eyes were locked on me, unblinking, almost hungry for answers I didn't know how to give. "Say something," I whispered, though my voice barely made a sound. The heels beneath my feet felt like knives. The dress felt too tight and too perfect. My reflection stared back at me, gorgeous and terrified at the same time. Then finally, they spoke. "You don't look like a joke. You look real." The word real hit me like a shock. Real? Me? This? My breath caught in my throat, panic and electricity running through me like fire. They stepped toward me slowly, eyes scanning every detail, my hair, my dress, my legs, the gloss on my lips. It felt like being touched without being touched. Exposed in a way that stripped me bare even though I was wrapped in silk. "Turn around," they said softly. My heart dropped. Was this curiosity? Judgment? Something darker? I couldn't tell. But Isabella placed a gentle hand on my back. "It's okay," she whispered. "You're safe. Safe." The word didn't feel real. But I trusted her more than I trusted myself. So I turned. The heels made me wobble for a second, but then I found my balance. My hair fell down my back like a curtain. The dress hugged me like a second skin. I turned fully, and the stranger inhaled sharply. "Wow," they whispered. "I didn't think you could ever look like this." My breath shook. Like what? Like a girl? Like a fantasy? Like a version of me I never believed could exist outside my dreams? I didn't dare ask. Their voice came again, lower, closer. Come here. The room tilted. My heartbeat echoed in my ears. I took one step, then another, the heels clicking like each one was a decision I couldn't take back. When I reached them, they lifted their hand and touched my chin.
Gently. Slowly.
My whole body froze. The touch sent a shockwave through me, every muscle tightening, every nerve igniting. You're not hiding anymore, they whispered. A tremble ran through my spine. I didn't know if it was fear or desire, or both. I never wanted this to happen like this, I whispered. Maybe, they replied, but maybe this is exactly how it needed to happen. Their thumb brushed my jawline, tracing the shape of the girl I had become. The girl in the mirror. The girl I had tried so hard to deny. My knees weakened. Isabella moved closer, her voice warm but firm. Tell them how you feel. I swallowed hard. How I feel?
Lost.
Exposed. Terrified. Liberated. More myself than ever. Less myself than ever. Everything and nothing at the same time. But words finally came out. I don't know who I am anymore. The stranger's eyes softened with something I didn't expect. Understanding. You're becoming someone, they said. Someone you've been running from for too long. My throat tightened. A tear escaped, ruining the perfect liner Isabella had drawn so carefully. She wiped it gently with her thumb. You're not alone, she whispered. Not anymore. The stranger's hand slid from my chin to my cheek, warm and grounding. You're beautiful, they said. The word shattered me. Beautiful.
Me.
Beautiful. My breath hitched. My knees almost buckled. Isabella caught my waist, steadying me. See, she whispered. This is you.
This has always been you.
The room spun, but not with panic this time. With realization. With acceptance clawing its way into the light. I don't know if I can live like this, I whispered. You already are, Isabella said softly. And you can't go back, the stranger added. The air froze. I looked at them, fear rising in my chest. What do you mean, can't go back? Their eyes locked onto mine. Steady. Serious. Unblinking. Because now that I've seen you like this. They stepped closer. Their voice dropping to a whisper near my ear. I'm not letting you disappear again. A chill raced down my spine. This wasn't curiosity anymore. Or shock. Or confusion. This was possession. Claiming. A decision made without my permission. My lips parted, breath sharp. What are you saying? I whispered. They smiled, slow, confident, dangerous. I'm saying, your secret is mine now. Their fingers gently lifted my chin again. And you're not going anywhere. A jolt of fear and thrill ripped through me. Isabella's eyes widened. She hadn't expected this either. But she didn't step back.
She didn't stop them.
The stranger's voice dropped even lower. You wanted a climax? Their breath brushed my ear. You just stepped into a new life, and I'm going to make sure you stay in it. My breath caught. The room felt hotter. Smaller. Dangerous. This wasn't exposure anymore. This was captivity. Not physical, but emotional. Psychological. And I could feel myself slipping into it, helpless and trembling. The dress, the heels, the makeup, they weren't a disguise anymore. They were chains. Beautiful, seductive chains. And the person holding them was standing inches from my lips. The room felt too warm. The heels felt too tall. The air felt too thin. Everything inside me was spiraling. Fear, excitement, confusion, colliding like storms with no direction. The stranger's hand was still on my chin, their grip gentle but terrifyingly certain, and I could feel the message behind their touch. I see you. And I'm not letting this version of you vanish. Isabella stepped beside me, her hand brushing against my back, trying to ground me. But the ground was gone. My balance was gone. My entire sense of self had cracked open, and nothing felt familiar anymore. The stranger smiled, slow and deliberate, like they were savoring the moment, like they had been waiting for this version of me longer than I could ever understand. "You don't have to run anymore," they said softly. A tremor ran down my body. Run? I hadn't even realized I was trying to. But the urge was there now, deep, instinctive. "I can't do this," I whispered, stepping back. The stranger moved forward with equal steps, refusing to let space grow between us. "Why?" they asked. "You think going back to your old life will save you? You think pretending this never happened will make it go away?" Their voice wasn't angry. That was the scary part. It was calm, too calm. Like they already knew the ending I didn't want to face. I just need time," I stammered. "No," they whispered. "You had time. Years of it. And you hid. But tonight you became real." My breath broke. Isabella grabbed my hand, squeezing tight. "She's scared," she said firmly. The stranger's eyes flickered. Annoyance? Frustration? Longing? I couldn't tell. "She's alive," they corrected. "Look at her." I didn't want to look. But Isabella turned me toward the mirror. The girl staring back at me wasn't a joke. She wasn't a mistake. She wasn't a costume. She was a truth. A truth I had buried so deeply that seeing her now felt like betrayal and liberation at the same time. My voice shook. "This isn't who I'm supposed to be." "Then who are you supposed to be?" the stranger asked quietly. I didn't have an answer. Because the truth was I didn't know anymore. The room fell into a heavy silence. My heartbeat echoed inside my skull, every thump louder than the last. Then, a sound broke the air. A phone buzzing. Isabella's phone. She looked down and her face drained of color. "What is it?" I asked, my voice small. Isabella hesitated. Too long. Too tense. "It's your mom," she whispered. "She's outside." The world stopped. Outside? Now?
Why? How?
My chest tightened so hard I thought I would collapse. No air. No escape. No plan. The stranger's expression shifted instantly, sharp, alert, calculating. "You didn't tell her anything, did you?" they asked Isabella.
No.
Of course not. But the stranger wasn't convinced. They turned to me, eyes slicing through the air. "Can she see like this?" they asked. My stomach dropped. My legs nearly buckled. "No," I breathed. No, absolutely not." But it was too late. A knock echoed downstairs. A knock that felt like a death sentence. Knock. 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 My heart slammed in my chest. My hands shook so violently the bracelets Isabella had put on me clinked like alarm bells. "She knows someone's home," Isabella whispered. "She won't leave." The stranger looked at me, then at the stairs, then back at me with a decision forming behind their eyes. "You need to hide," Isabella said. But the strangers shook their head.
No, they said.
"She needs to decide." My breath caught. Decide what? The strangers stepped closer, their voice low and steady. "If you open that door, your old life ends." Their eyes locked onto mine. "And a new one begins." A chill shot through me so violently the hair on my arm stood up. "And if I don't open it?" I whispered. The stranger smiled, but it wasn't comforting. "Then she'll find a way in anyway." Another knock, louder now. More impatient. More certain.
Bang, bang, bang.
Isabella grabbed both my hands. "Tell me what you want," she whispered, her voice trembling with fear and love and something else I couldn't understand. The stranger leaned in on the other side of me. "Choose," they whispered. My entire body felt like it was vibrating. The heels were shaking beneath my feet. The wig felt heavier. The dress felt tighter. My breath felt shorter. Outside. My mother. Inside. The girl in the mirror. The truth I could no longer hide. Another bang at the door. "Open the door." My spine froze. My knees almost gave out. I clutched Isabella's hand so tightly my knuckles turned white. The stranger whispered one final sentence. So quietly it felt like a secret meant only for my soul. "Who do you want to be when she sees you?" My lungs stopped. My heart stopped. Time stopped. The camera would fade out here. No answer. No resolution. Just a trembling breath, a tightening grip, and my hand slowly reaching toward the stairs. Not up,
but down, toward the door.
toward the truth, toward the moment that would decide my life. And then,